First of all, let me start with just by saying that you all look very wonderful this morning. What do we have in rural development and maritime development? What is it? It's a question that we continue to ask ourselves. It's a burning question that keeps myself and our permanent secretary sometimes awake at night and being challenged as we go to the provincial and Tikina meetings and even down to the communities. That's something that we're going to be grappling with as we sit here today. First of a few that is going to be held. But thank you very much for being here. And as I said before, you all look wonderful this morning. And we hope that we're going to do a lot of good work by the end of the day. UNDP Deputy Resident Representative, Mr. Abdul Ramanov, Permanent Secretary, the consultant, senior government officials, Mr. Sikivo, representatives of key stakeholders in rural development, members of the ministry, senior management, Sambul Binaka, warm greetings, warm welcome to you all. It is my pleasure to join you all for the first time, for the first of the 4 nationwide consultations in connection with the review of the Integrated Rural Development Framework 2009, or IRDF. Today marks the beginning of an important first step towards rethinking and reimagining how we can more effectively build resilient rural communities as an integral pillar of our future shared prosperity and well-being as a nation. We have continuously over time pondered the need to more effectively address the development aspirations of our rural population, and I'm therefore very pleased that we are now taking active steps to determine a solution or suite of solutions, as there is no single answer. Rural Fiji, which we have historically defined as all areas beyond the boundaries of municipal authorities, is home to about 41% of our total population. Around 387,000 people are estimated to be living in the rural and maritime areas of Fiji. Despite the relative abundance of natural resources and key exports based within rural communities, example, tourism, sugar, and agriculture, poverty in rural areas is more than double, 36.5%, than that in the urban areas is 14%. This means that 2/5 of the rural population live below the basic needs poverty line. An alarming 62.2% of the poor reside in rural areas. These figures continue to illustrate the vast disparities that exist between rural and urban areas. More than this, though, they also indicate that as a country, we are not doing enough and not doing the right things well enough to be able to harness and grow our combined potential and really propel our nation forward. The National Development Plan, recently launched by government, highlights several strategies to address inequity, build potential, and strengthen the resilience of our rural communities. The IRDF is acknowledged as a key element of this, as is the need for a national rural development policy. We have therefore decided that we would undertake a review of the 2009 IRDF to help ascertain what other improvements are needed, and then use the resultant learning as a jumping off point for the development of a national rural development policy. The IRDF is a conceptual approach advocating strengthened alignment between top-down with bottom-up planning, more inclusive and participatory approaches, and a system of structures, processes, and protocols to guide rural development planning, implementation, coordination, and collaboration. Conceptually, the IRDF is sound. However, it was established within a context which has changed in the 15 years since it was introduced. Recent developments dominate the landscape. There is a new National Development Plan. Reforms in government have been taking place, so the IRDF 2009 must be reviewed. We must have renewed policy guidance. The review of the IRDF and the proposed National Rural Development Policy is part of a change management program that we have established in our ministry. We have decided to contextualize these strategic initiatives through a change program because we understand and accept that we'll need to adjust how we work to ensure our services are at an optimum level and more relevant to our stakeholders. The ministry does not exist in a vacuum, so while it might seem straightforward to carry forward the IRDF review and build from it for the future, we must also ensure consistency with other reform efforts, which I have alluded to a moment ago, that are happening around us. For example, government through the Ministry of Ditoka Affairs completed a review of the Great Council of Chiefs last year and has made policy decisions on how the future of that institution of traditional national leadership will be managed. More recently, government has also completed the review of the Ditoka administration, which you will all know is linked to an integral element of the overall system of rural development. Decisions on the future shape and construct of the Ditoka administration as a result of the recent review will have a significant bearing on the focus and scope of the National Rural Development Policy. There are other policies and reform initiatives which the IRDF review and new policy will also need to consider and address. Sectoral policies and cross-cutting development issues like climate change and disaster risks need to be addressed more effectively as well. The challenge before us is real, and it will be no mean or easy feat. We are therefore blessed and grateful to the UNDP and the Governance for Resilience Program and our generous donors like Australia, New Zealand, UK, and Korea that support it for the financial and technical assistance to enable us to progress in these initiatives. We continue to look to the UNDP and our many other donors and development partners for support. The review and the new policy are only the beginning of a long journey. We are encouraged, though, by the support as evident this morning of the abundance of our stakeholders in attendance. I'm confident that as we move across each division for similar workshops, the interest in participation will only grow further. This is important as we need to listen to that diversity of interest and views. The outcomes of the review needs to reflect them, as does the National Rural Development Policy. And as we open this nationwide consultation process, I encourage everyone, from village representatives to government officials, private sector partners and civil society advocates, to participate actively in this process. Your insights, your feedback, and your vision are critical to shaping a new rural development policy that will truly meet the needs of our people. I urge us all to take ownership of this process to ensure we set Fiji on a path where all rural communities from the highlands to the outer islands can share in the opportunities and advancements of a modern Fiji. With these words, I have much pleasure in declaring this workshop officially open. Nasova, Dhanyavad, and thank you very much.